In life, we all encounter obstacles, and those obstacles come in all different shapes, sizes, and forms. The question is, how do we handle those obstacles? Do we attack them head on, or do we allow them to make us quit? Welcome to the No Quit Living podcast, where we aim to motivate and inspire listeners to never give up on themselves, their dreams, or their goals. We will interview successful people from all walks of life as they share their no-quit stories when they had the choice to give up or give in, but they didn't. We thank you for listening, and we hope to be that jolt of positivity as you go for your greatness. Welcome to episode number 137 of the No Quit Living podcast. I'm your host, Christopher J. Worth, and today's theme of the day is adversity. Our quote of the day comes to us from Jack Ewing. Any man can win when things go his way. It's the man who overcomes adversity that is a true champion. Today's episode is sponsored by the good people over at West Fair Communications, who publish the Westchester County Business Journal and the Fairfield County Business Journal. These newspapers do a wonderful job in covering all aspects of the business world within two of the most influential markets in the New York metropolitan area. You can also take advantage of their daily news feeds, which keep track on the companies and thought leaders in these important regions. For more information, take a look at www.westfaironline.com. Trust me, once you start reading, you won't quit. I'm both extremely humbled and grateful to bring you today's episode. I met our guest back in November of 2017. However, it is only recently that he and I have connected on a different level, as he is interning for our company, No Quit Living, this summer. And last week, he opened up and shared his unbelievable story about adversity. I think it is fair to say that Julien Sy has definitely encountered his fair share of adversity in his young life. And being only 20 years old, I think it is remarkable how humble he is, but most importantly, how he focuses on gratitude and being appreciative for all the things that he has and all the people that have helped him along the way. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Julien, I'd like to welcome you to the No Quit Living podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here. So the first question we ask everybody is, are you ready to bring it today?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So with our podcast, our number one objective is to motivate and inspire listeners to never give up. And typically, this is the point where we ask each guest to share their no-quit story. But you and I have actually a pretty unique relationship. I had the opportunity and the privilege of working with you and your college basketball team last year for a couple days and watching you and getting a chance to watch you guys play live last year. And this summer, you've actually been interning and working with me at No Quit Living. And we've had some pretty candid and open conversations. And last week over lunch, you shared a really unique and personal story. So I want to flip the script, and instead of asking for your no-quit story, I'd love for you to just briefly share the same story that you shared with me last week at lunch.
Yeah, so my story is pretty interesting. It dates back to my mother passing away, giving birth to me. My father, I never really gained a relationship with my father, so I was sent to Florida with my grandparents. By the time I turned 4, my grandfather unexpectedly died, so my grandmother sent me to my aunt and uncle's house in Connecticut, where I currently reside with my aunt, uncle, and 7 cousins. And growing up with 7 other kids in the house was extremely difficult. We weren't the richest people on the block. I didn't have the best clothes, but my aunt and uncle showed all of the kids, what working hard means and what love is. So very appreciative for them.
You know, I think that your story is so personal, and again, I appreciate you being candid with us. You also sent me a video of a speech you did your senior year in high school, and you said something that I just want to touch on for a minute. Is during the story, which you just shared with our listeners, you said something. You said you don't share this, and you're not sharing this because you want people to feel sorry for you. You actually went ahead and you expressed how grateful you were to what you have, and I just wanted to just ask you to briefly touch on that, because I think that speaks a lot about who you are and, again, how you were raised.
Yeah, I believe that everyone in this world, everyone in this life goes through different types of adversity. And I feel that with my story, I can, in fact, help inspire and put a fire under other people's bellies, because no story is too hard. So you could just succeed no matter what.
You know, I think that's so true, and basically everything we talk about and teach and preach with No Quit Living is everybody faces their fair share of adversity or challenges or obstacles. And it's not a question of will you get knocked down? It's a question of how are you going to respond? Do you get up and fight? Do you get up and kind of give, half effort? And I think it just talks a little bit about who you are as a person. As you know, we often talk about quotes both on the podcast as well as within our company. And you actually shared a quote with me last week at lunch that's helped kind of frame who you are as a person. And again, it goes back to just what you shared with us. So I wanted to ask you if you wouldn't mind just sharing that quote with our listeners also.
Yeah, so my quote is, be thankful for what you have, you'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you'll never have enough.
I believe you said it was Oprah, correct?
Yes, it is.
And I think that's just, as we talked about a lot and what we talk about on the show, is that's the mind shift. And it's the mindset of going from thinking and wanting more, not having enough, to being grateful for what you have. And it's not easy to do. And you just can't, snap your finger and all of a sudden be grateful. But I think a lot of people express gratitude in different ways, and I think a lot of people express gratitude in some amazingly sincere ways. And you definitely had your challenges, and your story actually doesn't just stop there as far as adversity. You shared with me last week that it was March of your senior year in high school, and you already were accepted to another college. You were planning on going. You were a highly recruited college basketball player, and I know that was one of your goals always, to play college basketball. And when you received your financial aid package, it wasn't nearly enough and you were not able to attend. And at that point, your high school coach reached out to Coach Tim Sweeney, who was the head coach at Hobart, and you were already enrolled as a student, but you shared a story that you and Tim had a very candid conversation where he basically expressed to you that all the spots were filled and you could be a member of the team, but you would have to be a walk-on, treated as a walk-on, you'd have to make the team. So how did you go from being a highly recruited basketball player on another team with a guaranteed spot to now going to an entirely different school or university with no guarantees that you'd even make the team?
Yeah, as you said before, my dream since I was a little boy was playing college basketball. So when I saw that financial aid package from the school that I had previously, that I felt that I was going to, and knew I wouldn't be able to go to because of the money situation. I with that conversation with Coach Sweeney, I knew I had to work hard every single day during the summer and every single day during the spring to make the team in the fall. So I could not picture myself without being in a Hobart uniform. So yeah.
No, I think it's important to visualize making the team and being a part of the team. And you talked about hard work, which leads me to something else that you shared with me is as your mother was giving birth to you, you mentioned, or you told me the story that there was, I believe, a 5-minute time period where when you were still in her womb that you had little to no oxygen, and unfortunately it led to you having a couple learning difficulties growing up. And how did that affect you, and how did you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, so growing up was extremely hard. I can remember in elementary school just not feeling as confident in the classroom. So my aunt and uncle actually got me a tutor who I worked with 3 times a week up until I got into high school. And that I worked hard with the tutor basically 3 times a week, reading, writing, practicing math skills. So yeah, that was very difficult, but I learned to overcome.
I think you touched on too is that things where other students would get an A and come easy to them. I briefly remember you talking about how you had to work that much harder, but it's kind of led you to who you are as far as putting in the effort. And I think it's just, again, it's a testament to who you are.
I appreciate that.
So one of the things, as you know, we focus on and we speak about at No Quit Living is the word accountability. So I wanted to ask you, what does accountability mean to you?
Accountability means to me doing what you say you're going to do. So, for example, if you say you're going to be somewhere at a certain time, you got to be there. An example is my captain throwing a captain's practice at 7 p.m. and you say you're going to be there, you got to show up to that captain's practice.
No, I love the analogy of being on a team and being accountable. And again, working with you and your team, I think it talks a lot about, but it's just a great definition because every single person has their own definition of accountability, but you hit it on the head is saying what you say or doing what you say you're going to do. So, for example, if you're going to attend a practice at 7 p.m. and you tell your teammates or you tell your captain you'll be there, then you need to be there. So I think that's just a great definition of it. And as you know, from June on this year, we've been talking about the theme of paying it forward. And it's been a common theme and motto for our company and for what we talk about, and as well as many of our podcasts. So I wanted to ask you, what does the concept or theme paying it forward mean to you?
Paying forward to me means basically what my aunt and uncle did to me, gave to me. Growing up, I saw how hard my uncle and aunt worked. My aunt working sometimes 3 jobs, my uncle working 2 jobs, my uncle coming back home at like 11 o'clock at night. So I know I can never pay them back all the money that they've spent on all of their kids, but paying respect, paying tribute to those who loved you is definitely what that is.
No, I think it's interesting that you tie the working hard and the love and paying respect, because that's one of the best parts about that question is everybody answers it differently because it's a very personal question, and your definition of paying it forward might be completely different than mine, not right or wrong, but just different. And I love how you tied it to not being able to pay back your aunt and uncle all the money that they spent and they invested on you and your 7 cousins. And I think that's just really important. So I want to change lanes here for a second and ask you a question. If you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
That's a great question, Chris. If I could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, it would definitely be LeBron James, who I personally think is the best basketball player to ever grace this planet. But that's another discussion.
No, I think that's a pretty unique answer based on who you are as a person. And I think it just talks a lot about your love for basketball. And again, going back to what you said a minute or two ago, is you've always had a goal of being a college basketball player, and you went ahead and achieved that. So I think that's kudos to you. One of the words we talk about is the word mentor. And I think we have different mentors in our life. And I was curious, what does the word mentor mean to you? And is there somebody that you can say right now has been a mentor to you?
Yes, my aunt is definitely my mentor. She basically, I wouldn't be here today without her. So that's definitely who my mentor is. And a mentor is a person who looks out for you in the positive way of things. So always has their best interest in heart. Always wants you just to see you succeed. So they're definitely going to be in your corner.
I like that, because that, as you know, in your corner and who's on your bus, that's a common theme we've been talking about probably for the last 8 to 10 months within our company as well as on our podcast. And I think the word mentor means different things to different people. So I'm glad that you tied it back to your aunt, because I think just knowing your situation and your backstory, she's definitely been a mentor for you. One question we ask every single guest is if they had to define, and if you had to define yourself in only one word, what would that word be?
If I had to define myself in only one word, it'd be honorable, because I always pay tribute to the people who showed me love and the people who's loved me and just supported me throughout my life. So definitely honorable.
That's a good word, and I think having known you for as long as I have and gotten a chance to work with you, I think it definitely is a great word for you as far as who you are as a person. Might be a tough question to ask you, but what is the best advice you ever remember receiving?
That's a great question. This might sound like a cliche, but honestly, it's never give up. Because as you can see in my life, like I could have given up in high school when I found out I had learning differences. I knew I just needed to work hard to get to college. I knew I needed to work hard to be where I personally wanted to be in life. So yeah, never give up.
I think I could not agree more. Obviously, with the title of our company and as well as our podcast, No Quit Living, I think it obviously something that resonates well with us as well as the No Quit tribe. One of the things we often talk about is personal development, and I was curious if you have either a daily habit or a daily ritual that you believe has helped lead to the success that you've had, as well as helping you become the man that you are today.
Yeah, so every morning before I go to bed, I say my prayers to my mother, to my grandfather, and to Jesus and God, just thanking them for what I have and just paying tribute. So definitely praying is what I do every day.
One of the things we talk about on our show is the word faith, and I think faith can mean different things to different people, and it doesn't have to be God, and it doesn't, and not that it can't be God, but I think one of the things that we've realized is that all the different successful people that have been on our show, they have some type of belief in faith, and it could, like I said, it could be God, could be something else, could be spiritual, and I think it's really important to just to touch on that because I think it is important to have a belief in something or somebody else and focus on the positives. And going back to what you said before is with the word honorable and paying tribute to those people that have helped you along the way. I think it's such a specific thing that we speak about at No Quit Living all the time because we all have those people that are in our corner. Some of them are in our corner for an extended period of time. Some might be only for a short period of time. But I think it's really interesting. As a college athlete, I'm going to flip the script here for a bit, is to ask you a question about teammate and being a good teammate. What do you think are some of the best characteristics, or what is something that you feel is really important when it comes to being a good teammate?
Honesty is one. So say no matter if you like the person or not, I feel that you should be completely transparent with that person because if you're not honest with your teammate, then how are you gonna be able to communicate on the court? So that's definitely the main word that comes to mind.
You said the honesty component I think is so true, but you also briefly touched on a word that I think is important is communicate. And being a former college basketball and tennis player myself, as well as a high school, college, and AAU basketball coach, I think the communication piece goes hand in hand with the honesty. And one of the things that I often touch on is you don't have to like every single your teammate in the sense of being best friends with them. But the reality is you do have to be honest. You have to communicate with them and you know that they have your back and you have their back. And I think that's the difference of an average team, a good team, and a great team. Speaking of basketball, I know last year that you guys did not get to the level where you wanted to go. You did not achieve your ultimate goal. And having spent some time with your coach after the season ended, and obviously spending some time with you, I think you have as a team one of two choices. And I think we'll discuss this hopefully next year. And I know Tim has touched on it. Is you have the opportunity or the choice, excuse me, initially to go down the woe is me road and place blame on this, and we should have, Julien should have done that, and that person should have done that. Or the second thing I think, which I know you guys are doing, is just to tie your shoes, to do the work and get after it. And I think that's the best part about sports is for the most part, there's always another day. So I just wanted to ask you maybe a very, very open question, but what are some of those conversations you've had either with your teammates or from your coaching staff that's just leading you guys into the season? Because I know and I believe you guys are going to have an excellent 2018-2019 season.
Yeah, I mean, well, we felt that like the number one thing what we needed to work on was communication. That's basically the reason why I said it earlier. Communication is key. We felt that definitely wasn't the best thing, our best attribute towards the end of the season, and that's why we felt like we fell short. So basically every day this summer we've been talking every day on our group chat, individually, one-on-one, Snapchat, Instagram, everything. Just basically trying to grow together and trying to form a more cohesive type of unit so we can be one once we get to the court. So communication is definitely what we've been working on.
I know you guys have a pretty exciting summer trip planned, I believe, beginning of August. Where are you guys going?
Yeah, I'm super excited. We're going to Germany, Italy, Austria, and we're going to another country, but I just don't remember at this point in time.
It's not the United States.
Obviously not the United States, but it's in Europe.
No, that's awesome, and I think obviously you guys are going to get a chance to bond, but more importantly, get a chance to spend some time both on and off the court. And I just think it's really interesting because in life and in sports, you have the opportunity of getting up. And as I've said, and my listeners and my No Quit Tribe know that I often discuss the concept that everybody gets knocked down. Everybody faces challenge and adversity. And I'm excited for you guys because I know Tim and the rest of the staff and you and the rest of your team work hard, and I'm excited about the opportunity to work with you guys again this year. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to change lanes into what we call our hot seat questions.
Okay.
And the only request I ask of you is to just spit out the first thing that comes to mind.
Sounds good.
Awesome. What is your favorite smell?
My favorite smell, probably that blue cologne. That blue cologne Chanel. It's by Chanel, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's my favorite
I threw you off there with the question. So if you had one last meal and you could choose absolutely anything for your last meal, what would you choose?
My last meal would definitely have to be Chick-fil-A. My favorite food by far.
What is your favorite sport, although I think I know?
Favorite sport, basketball.
Favorite team?
Favorite team right now, the Lakers, because of LeBron. You got to rep.
All-time favorite movie?
All-time favorite movie, I Am Legend.
Favorite book?
My favorite book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Great book. Favorite singer or band or group?
Favorite singer, Frank Ocean.
Oh, nice one. If you were stuck in a foxhole and you could only pick one person to have your back, who would it be?
Definitely one of my teammates named Jack Leger. He's very handy when it comes to survival skills like that, so I feel like he would definitely help me out.
Stretch,
yeah.
So before we let you go, Julien, I wanted to just ask if you have any parting words you'd like to leave with our listeners.
Think, love, laugh.
Think, love, laugh. I think that goes back to the Jim Valvano quote is if every day you live, every day you laugh, and every day you cry, I think you've had and you lived a life. So I don't want to misquote that, but I think that's awesome. And I think it comes back to what you said before, which is just how you've handled and faced your adversity. And I think the best part about our relationship is that it's continuing to move forward, and we've got a chance to spend some time on the basketball court as well as working together. But I just need to share a extra special thank you to you. I think your story is remarkable, and I think you've definitely faced your fair share of adversity in your life. And I think a lot of times people don't want to talk about certain things, and they kind of brush certain things under the rug. And you came to me talking about the opportunity to share your story. And the best part about that was you didn't say a single word that was selfish. You didn't say, I want to be on stage. You didn't say, I want to be on podcast. There wasn't anything about me, I. It was all about sharing your story. And when we had lunch last week, you were pretty transparent. And I remember looking at you and just immediately thinking, it wasn't until that evening, but I remember thinking, I want this kid to be on my podcast. So I truly appreciate your candor, what you shared with me, and definitely look forward to continuing a relationship and working with you guys next year.
I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to episode number 137. I believe Julien Sy has definitely faced his fair share of adversity. And as he spoke about and he shared his story, I think it's remarkable about how he does it with such a positive attitude, and he stays grateful for all those good people and those amazing things that he does have in his life. So in today's wrap-up, it's going to be more along the lines of me asking a couple of questions and posing a couple of questions to our listeners. What do you do when you face adversity? What happens when that day or that week or that month doesn't go your way? I know for me, we talk about it all the time, is in life, we all face our challenges. We all have our obstacles, and we all get knocked down. And many people get knocked down more than others. But the question is never, are you going to encounter your obstacles? Are you going to have challenges? Or are you going to get knocked down? That is a given. The question is, and I talk about it on almost every single episode, is what do you do when you face adversity? What happens when you have the opportunity to give up or give in? What do you do? Julien Sy has dealt with his fair share of adversity, and every single time he faces it with a smile, he faces it with a positive attitude, and he remains grateful and appreciative to all those people that have helped him, but more importantly, he focuses on the good that he has in his life. When he shared his story about a senior breakfast talk he gave during his senior year in high school, he didn't talk about woe is me. Not once did he say, I wish this, I wish I had that. And he said, and he was very clear, that he didn't want anybody to feel sorry for him. So I pose this question to our listeners, to our No Quit tribe. What are you going to do the next time you face adversity? Whether it's a job challenge, an issue with family or friends, or not being able to provide something that you want to provide to somebody. Are you going to allow that to stop you? Or are you going to allow that to make you turn around and give up? Or are you going to make sure that no matter what, you go through, you go around, you go over, or you go under that obstacle, that challenge, and you keep going? So today I'm going to switch the script up a little bit, and I'm going to leave with another quote. And I hope that everyone truly appreciates this. It's from Og Mandino. Always seek out the seed of triumph in every adversity. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you really enjoyed Julien's story. And I hope that today you go for your greatness. And lastly, to our listeners, thank you. We truly appreciate your time, and we hope our episodes inspire you to keep on attacking life and never giving up. To quote Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, it's always too early to quit.